Ever wondered how to make vegan ramen from scratch? Let's dive into the world of culinary artistry, where we will craft a dish that is as nourishing as it is delicious. Veganism is on the rise, with more and more people choosing plant-based meals for their health, the environment, and ethical reasons. And what better way to embrace this trend than to learn how to make one of the most versatile dishes out there, ramen. Ramen is a dish that has spanned centuries and continents, evolving into a myriad of variations. It's a comfort food, a quick meal, a culinary masterpiece. Our version today will be a vegan ramen, packed with flavor, brimming with fresh vegetables, and topped with crispy tofu. We'll guide you through each step, from making the broth to the final assembly. Today you will learn how to prepare a delicious, warming bowl of vegan ramen, right in your own kitchen. Firstly, gather all the ingredients. To whip up this delicious, soul-soothing vegan ramen, we'll need a few key components. We'll start with a good quality vegetable broth. This will serve as the backbone of our ramen, providing that rich, umami flavor we all crave. Next up, we'll need ramen noodles. You can find these in the Asian aisle of your grocery store. If you're feeling ambitious, you can even make your own. Now, let's talk protein. We'll be using tofu in this recipe, but if you're not a tofu fan, feel free to substitute with your preferred vegan protein. As for veggies, the world is your oyster. You can use anything from mushrooms to bell peppers, bok choy, or spinach. Just pick your favorites. Finally, we'll need seasonings. This includes soy sauce, sesame oil, and a touch of garlic and ginger for that extra kick. With these ingredients at hand, you're ready to start cooking. The heart of any ramen dish is the broth. To create a delectable vegan ramen, the broth must be rich and full of flavor, despite not having the typical meat base. Our broth will be a vegetable one, a delightful medley of aromatics, veggies, and seasonings simmered to perfection. Let's start with our vegetable selection. A combination of onions, celery, and carrots forms the base of our broth. These vegetables are known as mirepoix in French cooking, and they're famous for a reason. They provide a depth of flavor that will make your broth anything but bland. In addition to our mirepoix, we'll add some garlic for a touch of pungency and some ginger for a bit of zing. These two ingredients add layers of flavor that will make your broth stand out. Next, we'll talk about the process of simmering. Simmering is a gentle cooking method that allows the flavors of your ingredients to meld together and infuse the water, creating a flavorful broth. Start by adding your vegetables to a large pot. Cover them with water and bring the mixture to a boil. Once it's boiling, reduce the heat to low, allowing the broth to simmer. This is where the magic happens. The heat gently extracts the flavors from the vegetables, creating a beautiful aromatic broth. Let it simmer for at least an hour, but the longer you can let it go, the better. While our broth is simmering, let's talk about seasoning. We'll be using a combination of sea salt, black pepper, and a splash of soy sauce. These seasonings will enhance the natural flavors of the vegetables and give the broth a lovely umami note. Remember, the strength of your broth will depend on the amount of water you use and the simmering time. Adjust the seasonings according to your taste. You want a broth that's flavorful but not overpowering, as it needs to complement the other components of your ramen. Now that the broth is simmering, let's move on to the tofu. Tofu, a vegan staple, adds a protein punch to the ramen. But before we introduce it to our savory broth, it needs a bit of prepping. Start by pressing your tofu. This helps to remove any excess water, making it ready to absorb the flavors we'll introduce later. You can use a tofu press if you have one, or simply wrap your tofu in a clean kitchen towel and place a heavy object on top. Leave it for about 15 to 20 minutes. Once you've pressed your tofu, it's time to get it golden and crispy. Heat a pan with a bit of oil and place your tofu cubes in. Sauté them, turning occasionally, until all sides are golden brown. This not only gives your tofu a great texture, but also locks in the flavor. With the tofu ready, it's time to prepare the vegetables. Remember, a good ramen is all about balance, so let's make sure we have a variety of textures in our bowl. Vegetables add color, texture, and nutrients to your ramen. Our journey into the world of plant-based goodness begins with selecting the freshest ingredients. From crisp bell peppers to vibrant bok choy, each vegetable brings its unique flair to the table. Now let's roll up our sleeves and get to work. A sharp knife and a steady hand are all you need to chop these greens into bite-sized pieces. Remember, the size of your cuts can affect the cooking time and the texture of your dish, so consistency is key. Next, it's time to bring out the flavor. Sautéing your veggies in a splash of sesame oil can do wonders. The heat unlocks the aroma, the colors deepen, and the taste intensifies. Pay close attention to the sizzle and the smell. When the onions turn translucent and the peppers soften just enough to bend without breaking, you'll know it's time to move on. For those who prefer a softer bite, steaming is the way to go. It's a gentle process that preserves the nutrients while softening the texture. Just remember to not overdo it. You want your vegetables to maintain some crunch, a reminder of their raw, natural state. With the vegetables prepared, you're almost ready to assemble your ramen. This vibrant medley of flavors and textures is a testament to the versatility and richness of plant-based cuisine. Now comes the fun part, assembling your vegan ramen. So you've prepared each component of your ramen with precision and care. Now it's time to bring them all together in one beautiful, delicious bowl. Let's get started. First, we have our cooked ramen noodles. These are the backbone of the dish, providing a hearty base that will soak up all the flavors we're about to introduce. Place a generous portion of noodles into your bowl. Feel free to use a pair of chopsticks or a fork to fluff them up a bit. This gives them some breathing room and ensures they're not all sticking together. Next, it's time to pour in our homemade broth. This golden liquid is packed full of umami goodness, thanks to the combination of mushrooms, seaweed, and other aromatic vegetables we've simmered together. Pour it over the noodles, making sure to cover them completely. Watch as the noodles absorb some of that delicious broth, becoming even more flavorful. Now let's add our tofu. This isn't just any tofu. This is tofu that we've marinated and baked until it's crispy on the outside and soft on the inside. It's a protein-packed addition that brings a wonderful texture contrast to our ramen. Distribute the tofu pieces evenly across the top of the noodles. Finally, we'll add the vegetables. Layer them on top of the tofu, creating a vibrant display of colors and textures. The fresh crunch of the vegetables pairs beautifully with the soft noodles and tofu, adding another dimension to our bowl. And we're not quite done yet. For a finishing touch, sprinkle some sesame seeds or chopped scallions on top. This will add a bit of crunch and a pop of fresh flavor, rounding out the dish perfectly. Take a moment to admire your creation. Look at all those colors, textures, and layers. You've taken simple ingredients and transformed them into a complex, hearty, and satisfying meal. There you have it, a bowl of homemade vegan ramen. Your taste buds are in for a real treat. Enjoy! Making vegan ramen from scratch may seem daunting, but it's actually quite simple and rewarding. Let's take a quick walk down memory lane. We began our journey with the selection of fresh organic ingredients, a testament to the vibrancy and versatility of plant-based foods. Then we dove into the heart of our ramen, the broth simmered to perfection, brimming with umami flavors, and the foundation of our culinary masterpiece. Next, we moved on to preparing the tofu, marinated and baked, a protein-packed addition to our bowl. It's not just about the taste, it's about the texture too. The tofu brings a delightful contrast to the soft noodles and the crunchy vegetables. Speaking of vegetables, remember how we sautéed them to perfection, their vibrant colors and flavors adding diversity to our ramen bowl? Assembling the ramen was the final and most satisfying step. Watching all the elements come together, the broth, the noodles, the tofu, and the vegetables, was nothing short of magic. But remember, what we've shared is just one way to make vegan ramen. The beauty of this dish is that it's a canvas for your culinary creativity. Don't be afraid to experiment with different ingredients and flavors, perhaps some mushrooms for an earthy taste or a hint of chili for a bit of heat. Enjoy your vegan ramen journey, and remember, the best bowl of ramen is the one you make yourself. Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.